Thank you, Chairman and committee. Really, thank you. We've had a lot of conversations, so I appreciate being able to present this. HB 4586, as you're all pretty familiar, adds protections to the DCFS and the Adult Protective Service employees. We feel this bill is certainly not an overreach. It just makes harming our workers an aggravated assault, and it would give our state employees the same protection as our fire, our police, and our emergency responders. Unfortunately, due to the time constraints today, Mr. Knight, Pam Knight's husband, could not attend, and he really wanted to do so. So I would like to just read a very short statement on his behalf, if that's okay. Thank you for recognizing the sacrifice Pam Knight made. I am devastated at the loss of my best friend and wife of 32 years. Losing Pam wasn't just a loss. My family and I felt. Losing Pam was a loss felt by the entire child welfare community. I strongly believe this bill will ensure the safety of not only child welfare workers, but also the children they are sworn to protect.
Let's just give you time.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem at all. On this matter, there is one proponent witness slip filed, Alexa Cozio, DCFS, appearance only, and there are 3 opponent slips. Benjamin Rudell, ACLU of Illinois, appearance only. Elaine Eckers, John Howard Association, appearance only, and John Amdor, John Howard Association, appearance only.
If you don't mind, I have others that I could see on my phone. DCFS is in favor. Illinois AFL-CIO is in favor. INA is in favor. Chicago FOP is in favor. Illinois Association of Aging is in favor. And I was told via text that AFSCME is in favor.
Are there any questions from members of the committee? Representative Guzzardi is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative McCombie, for bringing this bill. I think we all know how passionate you are about this subject, and I think our hearts are all broken over the tragedy that happened to the Knight family. I'm going to be voting against this bill, and I want to tell you why. Because I feel like you're owed an explanation because of how forcefully and passionately you've been lobbying for this issue. So, I think that the logic behind this bill is the following. This terrible incident happened to Ms. Knight, and it happens to caseworkers around the state. Therefore, we need to enhance the penalties to keep this kind of thing from happening in the future. But I think that there's a logical step in between there. And I say this now, and I say this to explain some votes that I'm going to take throughout the rest of the afternoon, because I think it's worth being on the record about this. The step in between is that enhancing penalties deters this kind of thing from happening in the future.
That's why I've been here.
The first thing is that this is a terrible incident on which we all agree. I don't dispute that, obviously. But the second premise that is required to reach the conclusion that this bill is the right idea is the premise that enhancing penalties will deter people from behaving in this way in the future. And unfortunately, that's a premise for which there's just no justification in the data or the evidence that has existed for many decades in the criminal justice space. So I care very deeply about our caseworkers and about making sure that they can care for the people for whom they are meant to care in a safe and protected environment. I want us to bring down their caseloads so that they can pay more attention to the cases that they have. I want to make sure that they're safe and protected at work. But I don't believe that there's any evidence to suggest that increasing penalties on people who hurt our caseworkers will have any meaningful deterrent effect on that behavior from happening in the future. So I think the only effects that we've seen from these penalty enhancements has been the mass incarceration that's been the subject of this committee for a long time. So on those grounds, I'll be voting against this bill and other bills of a similar nature which seek to increase sentences on obviously heinous behavior, only because I think that that logic doesn't cohere all the way through. So I wanted to give that explanation to you before I cast my vote. But again, my heart is broken just as yours is, and I share your heartfelt commitment to trying to protect our caseworkers. I just don't believe that this is the way it's going to make it happen.
Thank you for that explanation, but hopefully I can turn your vote here with that, because I agree with you. This is not going to deter when this gentleman grabbed this woman and beat her senseless. The thing is that if she had not passed away and was brain dead and had no facilities, he could have gotten only 1 year at a max of 5 years. Now that being said, I think if any of us had our mother or our sister or any of our family members killed in this way, I think we would be a little upset if they were only incarcerated for 1 year. I don't think anybody in this room can disagree with that at all. You're right, this is not going to deter it, and I know that DCFS is changing some things within their agency, but we also have to protect the next person, because if this gentleman, I hate to even say that, this man was only in jail for 1 year and came out and did it again, that's on us. So it's not just about deterring, it's about keeping this kind of animal off of the streets. I mean, I'm not saying that after you serve your time that you can't be rehabilitated and be a better person and not do this. But one year isn't going to do it. So I really hope that you will reconsider in this particular case. I understand your thought process, and I agree this will not deter this kind of action. But it might deter the second person having it happen on year 2 or 3 or 4 when they're out. I don't think 1 year is not even near enough.
Representative Stewart is recognized for a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Really, just a remark, to the bill, and I certainly rise in strong support of this bill. I filed a bill that's very similar to this House Bill 4147, and unfortunately, when this young woman and DCFS worker was attacked, and I was contacted, I was kind of surprised. Will this legislation may or may not deter future incidents like this? Maybe not. And I would strongly argue that this really isn't a penalty enhancement in regards to this crime, because currently this legislative body passed laws that make it a Class 1 felony if you assault a Department of Human Services worker. It's a Class 1. If you assault a police officer, a firefighter, a correctional officer, or a DHS worker, it's already a Class 1. We're just putting DCFS employees and Department of Aging employees on the same par as the rest of those folks. Those folks work hard to protect children. And I was kind of surprised when I looked at this law that Representative McCombie is introducing in my bill, that DCFS workers weren't included in the original legislation, to make it a Class 1. And I would strongly urge the subcommittee and the Judiciary Committee, to pass this bill, because I believe that DCFS investigators and Department of Aging folks should be on the same par of all the rest of those workers who put their life on the line every day to make sure the citizens of this state are safe. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee.
Any further questions or comments from members of the committee?
I would just like to add that I agree with Representative Stewart on this, and I don't want to say it was an oversight on the body in the previous time, but I do feel it was just, I don't know if it's changed how you go knocking blindly on doors. I don't know if that piece has changed or what, but I just really feel it was kind of an oversight that they were not included, because why would one agency over another not be? Thank you.
Yeah. There being no further debate, Representative Bryant moves that House Bill 4586 moves to recommend due pass to the full committee on House Bill 4586. Clerk, please call the roll.
Turner.
Representative, we spoke. You know my feelings on penalty enhancements, and they're similar to the sentiments of Representative Guzzardi. I'm going to vote to get this bill out of committee, but out of the subcommittee. But I think, do you have an amendment or something that you're proposing for regular committee?
Yes.
I vote yes.
Bryant.
Yes.
Guzzardi. Slaughter. Stewart.
Yes.
On a vote of 3 in favor, 2 opposed, House Bill 4586 is declared passed and will be recommended to the Judiciary Criminal Committee.
Thank you.
Next up, we have 4588, House Bill 4588. Representative